Do I have a motion? Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve a fiscal 2011 operating budget of $54,001,394.
I have a motion to submit a total for 2011-2010 operating budget of $54,100,394. Do I have a second? I have a second, Ms. Crouch. Any discussion? Mr. Taylor.
Mr. Chairman, first I'd like to commend the building administrators and the central office administrators for all the work that they did. They presented a transparent, concise budget, and as I understand, we're the only budget that is line item, and there's like 155 line items that we scrutinized. I do have some concerns, three mainly. One, this budget implements a student activity fund of $100 per student. I would have liked to have not seen that in this budget. I'm concerned that the participation in the after-school organizations, be it Latin Club or be it Robotics Club, whatever, might decline, but I understand the tough decisions that we're making. I also have concerns that Jockey Hollow is losing team leaders. That was only a $6,000 item. Maybe we can find that later. And then our Director of Special Education, Mrs. Alarcon, made a compelling argument for a system-wide school psychologist. Again, not a huge amount of money, but that is not in this budget. So I guess what I am saying is that after I've scrutinized it, after the board scrutinized it, I believe Superintendent Palmer has submitted a budget that is truly bare bones status quo. So I urge everybody's support.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Ms. Crouch?
We've all spent a lot of time going line by line through this budget, and a lot of work has gone into this. And the superintendent has set forth a budget here that is, the goal is to maintain the integrity of the school district. It does not have fluff in it. It is to maintain the educational integrity of our district, and I think it is. I think it is a fair budget, and it's one that we should all support and we should all advocate for going forward.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Plunkett.
I'd like to piggyback on what Lee was saying. I think we forget sometimes that the responsibility for advocating for this budget doesn't stop tonight. Whoever votes yes, every board member needs to continue to advocate for this budget right through the very last referendum for that last dollar. We may not agree with how the monies are being allocated, but we are supporting that final number. And when elected officials, whether it be town council, board of finance, board of ed, don't advocate for their budget that they're responsible for, the public tends to fill in the gaps with their own misconceptions. And that's where some of the divisiveness that was alluded to earlier comes into play. It's not the public's responsibility to fill in those gaps. It's our responsibility to be out there, be the voice in the community, and advocate and continue to educate everyone, every single voter, on what this dollar amount means and the impacts of any cuts would have.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Bagliello.
I want to quote the former chairman of the board, Mrs. Duchess. She always said something I thought was great at meetings. Mrs. Duchess would say, we have a responsibility to educate all the children in this community. And I mean, I think that sums it up. You know, we do have that tremendous responsibility. Last year we cut 20 teachers, and as was alluded to, there's nothing left to cut. And if we don't fund education properly, it's going to cost us more money to fund compensation compensatory education and special education. Because compensatory and special education costs are very high. So if we don't fund regular education, the point that's needed, it's going to cost us more money in the long run. And we need to be proactive, not reactive.
Thank you. I'll just lend my support to this as well. This budget has been vetted through an extremely rigorous process of workshops, public hearings, town official scrutiny. As previously mentioned, each account has been scrutinized not only for its contribution to the educational system, but for possible cost savings. And to follow up on what Dr. Palmer said, if we look at the total of $54 million budget, when we really have in our control 0.15% or 74,000 of that, with over $1 million tied up into salary increases, $1.5 million in benefits, $500,000 in special education, and decrease in cost grants of $300,000. We are extremely lean, and our problem, or not necessarily our problem, our challenge has been is that we've been lean year after year. And I'm advocating for this budget, and I agree with the other members of this board that we need to, and of course our public speakers as well, that we need to continue through this year to advocate for this budget and do what we can to make public aware that the strength of this community is its education system, and it's our obligation to support that, to support our children, to both Ms. Duchess's comments and Mr. Vagavello. Having said that, we have a motion on the floor to approve a 2010-2011 operating budget of $54,1,394. All those in favor? And it's unanimous. Thank you.